Ladies and gents, boys and girls, Wednesday, June the 21st, 2023. Hope you're all doing well. Chris Phillips here, your host of the Daily Crow of the Spurs Up Show. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. I see Will Hall, Brendan, Todd, GA, and John Edward. What's going on? Also, those in the Big Cock Club Discord, have the TDC Questions channel, the TDC Questions channel, to be sure that your questions are answered there. Again, we got a lot to get into here on this show, but we are calling a bit of an audible today. Our good friend JD Piquel is out of town with family this week. So we have no JD Piquel today, which means instead of our normal 3-hour show, today will be just a 2-hour show. Because again, of course, we have no special guest in our second hour. So we'll have our Q&A power hour in the second hour of today's show. So I want to hear from you. Questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. And also, guys, I'm really excited because today we kick off our SEC team previews going into the 2023 football season. Todd Smith with the super chat. Todd, thank you so much, Todd. I appreciate it, guys. If you want to support the channel, support the business, support the content, support everything that we do, you can leave us a super chat. You can leave us super stickers, whatever you like. And again, Todd, I do appreciate that. I see Xavier. I see my guy, Eric Reese. What is up? Colton Carnell. What's going on? Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. And we have our Final Four, by the way, in the College World Series. LSU beating Tennessee last night. I'm sure Brendan and Dalton are shedding tears today because Tennessee's no longer in the College World Series. But LSU gets the job done. What is the schedule again today? LSU and Wake will rematch, and it's Florida and who do they get? TCU. That's right. The Horned Frogs. Florida and TCU will go. Are both of those games, look at me, not even knowing the schedule. Are both of those games today? Let's check out the schedule. I feel like I've been watching so much baseball. I feel like I've been watching a lot more baseball than I expected with South Carolina not being in Omaha. Yeah, Florida TCU today at 2 o'clock, Wake Forest and LSU at 7. If Florida wins, they will go to the final. If Wake Forest wins, they also advance. Both TCU and LSU have to win 2 games against their respective opponents to knock them out. So going to be a lot of fun. Of course, that Wake Forest LSU matchup as well. I feel pretty confident that Florida's probably going to get the job done against TCU and be the national title. So we could have an all SEC national championship, which I don't think is really truly any surprise at all. I don't think it's a surprise at all. So anyways, guys, 843-790-3377. That is the number. Would love to hear from you guys. If you can't call in that second hour, go ahead, flood the text line, flood the voicemail line, whatever you like, and we will play your voicemails in that second hour. Bruin Nation, what's going on, my dude? Appreciate you tuning in. Like I mentioned, in case you missed it, Bruin Nation and everybody else, no JD Piquel on the show today because he's out of town, guys. That's probably going to happen a lot over the course of the offseason, right? It is the summer. People want to travel. They want to get their vacations in this time of year. So if they cannot come on, it's okay. We'll make the adjustment. What we'll do, instead of going 3 hours and putting 2 hours of responsibility, if you will, on our callers, on you guys to flood the question line, if you will, we will just cut it back an hour. So noon to 2 today instead of noon to 3 because no JD Piquel. And in this first hour, we are going to spend our time talking LSU football. Again, guys, in case you missed it, we do our opponent preview series every summer, right? Where we talk about the teams that are on South Carolina's schedule specifically, break them down. And I've done those solo dolo, right? I haven't brought on a guest or anything like that from the opposing side. Well, the first change is this. When we go through the 2023 schedule, we are going to bring on someone. That means every single team, North Carolina, Furman, Georgia, Mississippi State, Tennessee, et cetera, and talk to them about their teams, what we can expect from their respective ball clubs in the upcoming season, and also, of course, talk about the upcoming game with the Gamecocks. But I figured this end of June, there's nothing going on. We're past baseball as Gamecock fans. Why not dive into the rest of the SEC, including Texas and Oklahoma, and just get a feel on everybody else in the conference. Because, again, I know everybody that tunes into the show are Gamecock fans, but also we're college football fans. And we love college football, and so we love talking college football no matter what team that might be. Just had a great conversation this morning with John Neighbors of Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Great stuff. I'll be talking tomorrow with our good friend over at Horn Takes. We were on his show earlier this week. So we'll have LSU today, Arkansas tomorrow, and Texas on Friday. And then all next week, we'll be doing the SEC team previews as well. So going to be a lot of fun, guys. Again, I appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. And I think you guys, again, are going to really, really enjoy this. It's going to give you all a greater feel on the SEC. And I'm loving it personally because I'm learning more about these other teams. Like, I like to know what's going on with these other programs, whether South Carolina's playing them or not, what have you. Because, of course, yours truly, I'm going to lock in record predictions and projections for every single team in the SEC. So I'd like to know what the heck is going on. So anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoy. I would love to get your feedback on it, of course, once we go through this. But we had an electric conversation. We got a great conversation, excuse me, for you guys today. My friend Blake Ruffino of AYS Sports. He does a great job covering the LSU Tigers. And he reminds me a lot of myself in the sense that this dude is an electric factory. He's passionate. You can tell he loves LSU. He gets after it when he's talking ball. And we had a great conversation, again, talking about the Bayou Bengals in 2023. And, of course, he was real fired up because we were talking just an hour before first pitch last night. So really, really good stuff, guys. Again, I see you all in the chat. Leave your questions, your comments, your calls, whatever, 843-790-3377. If you can't call in the second hour, I want to make sure we get to your questions, comments, and calls, if you will. Dave Garrett texted us on Monday. I want to get back to this. Rough idea when the Carolina Ale House dates will drop for the summer tour. I'm not exactly sure, Dave. I'm really just waiting on Carolina Ale House to get back to me and give me the green light. I would like to... Ideally, I would like to have these dates out by the beginning of July, if at all possible, because I imagine we'll start the tour at the end of July or around that third week or so. So hopefully they get back sooner rather than later, but I will be sure to let you know. Bruin Nation says also, how about the bulletin board material yesterday? Yeah, it's funny. Those guys at Southeastern 14, I've had Chris Lee on the show, and so I like to check in with their content from time to time, and so I'm just watching that video, and I heard that, and I was like, bro, I have to clip this. I mean, I have to clip this, man. This is, I mean, a direct shot at Shane Beamer, a direct shot at Beamer ball, but tis the offseason, folks. Tis the offseason. Tis the time of year for things like that. So anyways, guys, we're going to go ahead, get into this, our LSU team previews. We begin our SEC football team previews going into the 2023 season. Blake Ruffino of AYS Sports. He joined me to break it all down, guys. Hope you enjoy this conversation with Blake Ruffino of AYS Sports as we talk the LSU Tigers going in the 2023 football season. We begin our SEC team previews with the Bayou Bengals from Baton Rouge, the LSU Tigers. And who better to help us break down LSU than our friend Blake Ruffino of AYS Sports. Blake, appreciate you taking the time, my friend. Really excited to do this, and I thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, this is going to be really fun. You know, Chris, we connected during the baseball season, you know, and then got to connect there before Hoover again. And I will tell you, as the heat starts coming on, football starts getting the smells in the air. So I really do like this, but I do know that we got a game tonight in the College World Series, so we're all looking forward to that. Hopefully LSU can beat the Vols, baby, Tony V and company.
Yeah, I was going to say, Blake, I appreciate you shifting the focus because obviously less than an hour till first pitch right now when we speak, and so when this drops and people are hearing this, which will be on Wednesday, we will know the fate of LSU and of Tennessee, and what a matchup in Omaha, obviously. But no, I appreciate you shifting the focus, and I'm glad to see that you either took enough Jello shots or got over the hangover to get over the Wake Forest loss. I know there was some questionable umpiring, which, hey, Gamecock fans are very familiar with questionable umpire. Dude, I've never met an umpire I like, Blake. So I just, I just almost get to the point where like the super regionals are going on. Carolina loses to Florida and the umpiring's terrible, but it's like my expectations are down here anyways. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's atrocious game in, game out, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think, Chris, the only thing, and before we transition into that, number one, I got a surprise for you. This is the energy LSU's rolling out there with tonight, okay? All right, big cock
I love
energy.
it. I love it.
Okay.
Let's go.
That's the energy that we're portraying, okay? But you're right. It absolutely sucks. They absolutely suck. So Nate Ackenhausen goes tonight. Jay Johnson, the Tigers. We need the energy, baby. This is what we got to do. We got to bring the energy, bring the focus. Don't let the umpires dictate shit to you. Skills. I don't know if I can curse on here.
Oh, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. But big cock energy, that's what we need.
I love it, Blake. I got to be honest. I know you told me off air you had a surprise coming. I did not see that coming. So bravo, sir. Bravo. I appreciate that.
My wife told me I couldn't wear this one to the beach. We went. But she told me I could wear it on the show. So
I love that.
That's what we're going to do. Just everybody needs to go buy it, man. It's so comfortable. I don't know why every Gamecock fan.
The foam trucker really does hit different. That's actually what this is as well. Those foam truckers, man. They hit different. But Blake,
I really want to drink a Miller Lite when I wear this hat. Like, I just want to let you know.
The party hat, man. The party hat. I know you guys can respect that. But Blake, as we move into it, man, again, we're talking LSU football. Like I mentioned, SEC Media Days will be here before you know it. Fall camp will get underway, and toe will meet leather. But before we look ahead to this season and break down the Tigers, let's look back. A memorable year one for Brian Kelly. LSU goes 10-4. 6-2 in SEC play. It gets off to a bit of a rocky start, right? That 1-point loss to Florida State, but you have the big win over Alabama. You win the SEC West. You do trip up in the final regular season game against Texas A&M, and then, of course, Georgia. You run into that buzzsaw, but you end the season on a high note in the Citrus Bowl, beating the brakes off of Purdue 63-7. Just talk about year one of Brian Kelly and the 2022 season as a whole for LSU. I would imagine that was a success for the Tigers, dethroning Alabama in the SEC West.
No question. I think there are a lot of things, Chris, because number one, I think for 2 years under Orgeron, the last 2 years under Orgeron, it was chaos constantly. Like, I mean, man, being on this beat, if you will, or covering the team, whatever we do as podcasters, it was honestly some of the most stressful times that I can ever remember, right? And so getting into a situation where, okay, well, you hire Brian Kelly, and then you were like, oh, well, what do we really know about him? And then you're like, is this stubborn dude going to be able to come down here to Baton Rouge and do what he needs to do? But then you instantly found out, oh, okay, he's not as uptight as everybody thought. But I will tell you, just on the field, though, the way that he took a program that was 6-7, had 30 scholarship players, and then turned it into the SEC West champs, like you talked about dethroning Alabama, I did not expect. Talking about having a low ceiling, like I was in preseason saying, look, guys, if we win 8 games, we win 9 games. That is a miracle from going from 30 scholarship guys to this. But he comes in, he delivers, and quite honestly, it gave the fan base hope. To be real with you, it gave, and it's so crazy to talk about because 2019 might be the best team of all time. At least I think it's one of the best, if I think it's the best. And then just a couple short years after that, you're firing your head coach. You're going to a guy who's never been south of the Mason-Dixon line when it comes to coaching. And then everything they said he couldn't do. He couldn't beat Alabama. He couldn't recruit. I mean, it feels so good, like just to be able to come from a situation where you have 15 guys drafted. Chris, this is the thing that people don't remember. LSU had just as many, actually more technically, dudes drafted after Orgeron went 6-6 and 5-5 than Georgia did. So the talent was there. And so the coaching wasn't, which made everybody even more mad. And so now Brian Kelly, with not the same amount of talent, then comes in and does what he does. It gives you a lot of hope. And look, the great thing about going into 2023, they do have some pieces that have left and gone to the draft. They return a lot. I mean, a lot. And so now the heat starts getting turned up on Brian Kelly and company for year 2.
And you mentioned Brian Kelly, and I think what's so interesting, Blake, is you talk about, Ed Orgeron was looked at as sort of the perfect fit at LSU, a Bayou guy, if you will. And you go to Brian Kelly, who, the infamous clip of me and my family, and like he's trying to fit in, like you mentioned, like it felt like a weird culture fit. And I remember last year in the preseason, a lot of people were wondering, like, how is this going to go? Is he a fit at all? What he did at Notre Dame, can he really win big or win big enough to satisfy the appetite of the LSU fan base? And sure enough, again, he wins the SEC West in year 1. So I'd imagine the feeling this time around going into year 2, what's the approval rating like, the overall mood of the fan base surrounding Brian Kelly? Because, I mean, it's a guy that won at a high level at Notre Dame, but winning at Notre Dame and winning in the SEC, 2 very different things.
Well, I think the approval rating is, very high. I don't know of anybody that has come in and really said anything negatively other than some of the people like on the beat. But again, you're going to have to show me where he's done wrong, right? Like, so you went toe-to-toe against Saban, you went toe-to-toe against Kirby Smart in recruiting, and you're winning those battles. That's the biggest thing that Brian Kelly had to overcome. Let's call it what it is. Notre Dame, they didn't recruit well enough they could get to the playoff. They didn't have the dudes on the outside. But the great thing about the Southeast is historically you produce mammoths. You produce dudes. So you look at LSU as a whole, and you're like, okay, well, they return their entire offensive line. The 2 5-star tackles are back. You got another 5-star tackle who's coming in, and Lance Hurd. The biggest question mark that's always been at LSU is how will they do on the offensive line? They've never struggled at DB. They've never struggled at wide receiver. I mean, for crying out loud, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson were on the same team, and that's a far cry. They have dudes that are always getting drafted there. I think the biggest transformation and why his approval rating is so high right now, Chris, is because they're running the football at such an effective clip, and the offensive line has done so well that it's really started to get this fan base juiced up. And look, the wave hasn't hit yet. Like the wave of like, all right, we really got a chance hasn't hit yet because, look, I don't know, and I'm assuming South Carolina is a lot like this because you guys have won national championships. But once you're in Omaha, the football wave doesn't really start yet, right? Like, until you lose out, that wave doesn't really start yet. So Brian Kelly has quietly got another top 5 class, and so now you're just like, okay, y'all better kind of pay attention. Everybody's talking about Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz. Okay, well, he just got another 5-star. Oh, okay. So you better watch out. The only thing, Chris, that worries me is what they will do defensively. They did not have a lot of depth. So you talked about losing the game to Texas A&M. They didn't have the depth, right? They didn't have the depth when they lost some guys against Tennessee. That ultimately killed them. That's the ultimate question. Do they have the depth? And if they do, I think that they can win the West again. Because, I mean, look, let's call it what it is. From an LSU perspective, I know we went viral on this. From the LSU perspective, Florida State scares me more than Bama does. They just do. And so when I look at Florida State as an example, they have 3 dudes on their defensive line that are going to go in the top 25 picks. They got Finchero Cypress. They return Dominic Lovett on the interior defensive lineman as an interior defensive lineman. And so I look at them, I'm like, yeah, Bama ain't got that. Bama does not have that right now. So week 1, game 1 is the ultimate litmus test. They got to win it. I mean, to get the approval rating, they got to ultimately win it. I know that's long-winded, but that's the answer.
Yeah, Blake, keep rubbing it in, by the way, that you guys aren't moved on to football yet and you're still getting to enjoy baseball.
I'm not trying to. Yeah. Look, I'm literally not trying to.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm envious. I wish I was in your position. It's been over a decade since we haven't.
Chris, I talked football for 15 minutes last night on the show. I got booed. They were in the comments booing me, okay? Like,
fair enough, man. It's right after the freaking game, my guy. There's plenty of baseball to talk about.
I know, but we talked 57 minutes worth of
Fair,
baseball, you
fair.
know?
Okay.
You
That
know?
provides
They
some
were literally
context. There you
booing
go.
me. They were sending me super chats saying boo. I'm like, what am I supposed to do here?
Hey,
You know?
I know you agree. As long as they're sending super chats, my guy, that's all that matters.
Oh
You're doing
man.
something right. So,
I'll talk
hey,
about whatever you want to if you
yeah,
say.
yeah, that's it. That's it. Let's start. Let's start though, Blake, on the offensive side because
Yep.
you mentioned a couple of things I want to touch on. And LSU and Vanderbilt have something in common. Believe it or not, they are the only two teams in the SEC that return their quarterback and their offensive coordinator, which is crazy when you think about just how much movement at either of those positions across the conference. Either way, a great place to start is Jaden Daniels, who completed 266 passes last year, 2,913 yards, 17 touchdowns to 3 picks. He also was the leading rusher for LSU,
Yep.
885 yards, 4.8 yards per carry, 11 touchdowns. You get all 5 offensive linemen back. To your point, if you're going to be a national championship caliber team, being solid up front, I know I've heard you talk about trench warfare, the trenches, that's where you win it. Having all 5 guys back, that is a huge boost. Malik Neighbors at the wide receiver position leading the way. I was also checking out Blake. Been doing some digging in these preseason magazines. Kyron Lacey is a guy you guys are really high on the transfer in from Louisiana. And then, of course, the big question mark for LSU was, well, the running back position, who's going to be the running back? And you guys pick up Logan Diggs, the Notre Dame transfer, which is a big-time addition. So, Blake, tell us a little bit what to expect from the LSU offense. I mean, it looks like, to me at least, from the outside looking in, that you guys are loaded, especially if Jaden Daniels meets his full potential this season.
If you're spot on with the last part of that. He's got to force the ball a little bit more down the field. Look, you're going to run the ball at an effective clip. And not only do you have 5 guys returning, you got a first-team Big Ten offensive lineman from Maryland that you put into that, right? And so that dude was going against really good guys in the Big Ten as well. So I think the biggest question mark is 2 things. Can Jane Daniels let that thing rip? Like, let it rip, man. And if he does that, if he trusts what he does, then he will be fine. And I think that like you mentioned, the offense is loaded. Here's the biggest question mark for me. The LSU wide receiver room, although talented, although all of those guys will more than likely, the starters get drafted. You bring in the 5-star Aaron Anderson, which, by the way, I'm just going to tell you, it's another like Odell Beckham on grass. Okay, like this kid can play now. If he can stay healthy, he might be the best wide receiver in this entire room. Can they hold on to the football? Can they catch it? They led the SEC in drops. I know Kayshon Boutte led the SEC in drops. You cannot do that. I think that affected Jane Daniels a little bit, but he can't worry about that. Like, you just got to let the receivers make the problems. But I thought along the season, like Alabama, when he threw the corner route to Mason Taylor in the back of the end zone, bang, the zone read where he pulls it, and then the 2-point conversion, he's got it in him. It all revolves around him. He's got too many pieces around him, in my opinion, for him to not let that thing rip. And you brought up Kyron Lacey, I think another dark horse. So along the offense, there's not a lot of question marks offensively. You know who it's going to be. Maybe some things will shuffle in and out of there. You're probably not going to have a lot of changing. And then here's another thing. You got Garrett Nussmeier, who threw for 300 yards and a half against Georgia, the backup quarterback. So you're loaded with a lot of depth. And I know we'll probably talk about this. The ultimate question, the number one question is, how will you do defensively? That's it.
And moving into the defensive side, that's a great segue, Blake. One thing that's not a question on the defensive side, Harold Perkins Jr. and his game, 72 tackles last year, 7.5 sacks, maybe regarded as, dare I say, the best defensive player in the SEC returning. But just 4 starters are back on that defense. You guys lose 7 DBs from a season ago, but a big return as well. And I think one going under the radar, Mason Smith, the defensive tackle who last year tore his ACL while celebrating a teammate's tackle on the first series against Florida State. So he returns up front. Just talk a little bit about the LSU defense. Again, only 4 starters back, so there's question marks. There's no lack of talent, but certainly question marks. And I know this is something that Brian Kelly, he's plugging a lot of guys in there from the transfer portal as well.
Yeah, and guys that he missed when he was coming in. So everybody. I mean, let's call it what it is.
Right.
A couple of
The
those
$30 million
guys,
recruiting class.
correct. So Denver Harris, the 5-star, was a part of that. And so he comes over. Can he live up to the billing? You know, like if he can live up to the billing, okay. Another guy that's flying under the radar from a DB. Look, he played at the school that I played at, and Zy Alexander, the FCS corner, 6'3", 210 pounds. Now, listen, I historically don't like when I see an FCS player flip from FCS to D1, especially the SEC. The difference with Zy Alexander, though, is when he went up against SEC teams, he always had picks. And then everybody's in America, when Southeastern played them, they didn't throw in his general direction. The crazy thing is, and because, you know, maybe I probably shouldn't watch this much FCS football, but since I graduated from there, the crazy thing is he went 4 weeks without having a pass in his general direction. The dude can be really good. They have the talent. The question will ultimately be, do they have the depth? You talk about Mason Smith returning, that's massive because LSU's biggest weakness last year and why they couldn't beat Tennessee, why they couldn't beat A&M, why they struggled at times against Alabama was the interior defensive line was not good enough. They weren't. And you get that guy back along with Jordan Jefferson, not the quarterback, but Jordan Jefferson at the nose tackle position. You get Mekhi Wingo back. And like you mentioned, Harold Perkins is returning. That's all fine and dandy. The number one pickup in the portal, in my opinion, and I was screaming this when the kid went in the portal, Chris, Omar Spates, the linebacker from Oregon State. It is, in my personal opinion, the biggest pickup that LSU's made, not named Joe Burrow out of the portal. Without question. He led the country in solo tackles for tackle for loss and solo tackles as an individual for 3 straight years, and he's under the radar. If that kid is remote, if he's 2/3 of what he did in the Pac-10 or Pac-12 to what he could be in the SEC, then you're playing with grease because what do you game plan against? Do you go against Harold Perkins, who now has moved on first and second down, so he'll be in the inside? How do you game plan? Harold Perkins, as an example, and I asked him this question, I think about like 3 months ago. I was like, hey, why? I mean, look, you were not this good in the inside last year. I mean, I know that progression is going to help you. He literally, Chris, as God is my witness, pointed at Omar Spates and said he did it. Okay. And so I'm like, yes, sir. I'm not arguing with him. And so those are the biggest. You got the talent. Can you put it all together? I don't know if they can or if they can or can't, but if they can, they're going to be able to do something good. But I will say this. I don't like when you have to rely on a bunch of new guys to step in and take over in a defense. You got to get better on third down. So I really do feel like there's a lot of make or break with this defense in the portal, and I hope it's make. I mean, I really do, but I just don't like all of that. Let's see how it progresses coming August.
Yeah, Blake, I was looking at Spates' numbers as well right before we jumped on, and he's a stud for sure. I mean, you think of Oregon State has really came on the last couple of years.
No.
All program, and now they got DJ Uiagalelei, top 25 preseason. So it's crazy. They're pumping out some dudes right now. Now, Blake, as a South Carolina man, you know that we value special teams. I'm going to talk some special teams with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Kicker Damian Ramos made 10 of 14 field goals last year, 55 of 57 extra points, of course. One of them, most notably, in that Florida State game that was blocked. The punter, Jay Bramblett, really good a season ago, 44.5 yards per punt. Greg Clayton, the punt returner. Noah Kane, kickoff returner for you guys. Just talk about the LSU special teams. Again, I know for most teams, you know, it's sort of as long as special teams doesn't lose you ball games, that's all you really care about. But talk about the strengths, weaknesses, what have you, overall outlook of the special teams for LSU.
That is the only question. That is the number one question, right? Like it is. Damian Ramos was not bad, but, you know, like you mentioned, Florida State got blocked. Special teams, Malik Neighbors fumbled two punt returns that ultimately somewhat could have lost you the game there. Then you had, look, this is what I tell LSU fans, for example, look, you're not as far away from Georgia as you think that you are. Go back and now that you know the outcome, you know what's going to happen. Chris, they were about to take the lead against Georgia in the SEC championship game going into half. They have a kick blocked and it goes for 6. Okay. Your quarterback, that same drive has his ankle rolled up on, and then you go 3 and out because he can't perform. Then it completely fell away from you. But then you learn that you have a backup quarterback that can do it. I don't think Gregory Clayton's going to be back there. I think it's going to be Aaron Anderson, the guy that I was just mentioning that he went to Alabama because of Orgeron being fired and Kelly coming in. Listen, I'm not saying this because it's LSU. That kid is going to be an All-American punt returner. I promise you. Like, there's been 2 guys that I've ever said it about, Aaron Anderson, Tyrann Mathieu. And, like, when you text Tyrann and look, bro, you had Tyrann Mathieu going in this kid's high school game saying, okay, like, this dude can play. Again, can he stay healthy? But, Chris, I have no idea what they're going to do special teams-wise. Like, I have zero clue. They have 4 position coaches helping coach that position or coach special teams. You can't be worse. You literally can't be worse than you were a year ago. So cheers to being better to something that you absolutely sucked in, because you can't be as bad as you were, really.
So, Blake, when you look at this LSU season and this team overall going into 2023, like we mentioned, a lot of experience returning on the offensive side, some question marks on defense, but again, no lack of talent and a lot of help from the portal. My question to you, Blake, is this, and, maybe this is a weird question because you just won the SEC West last year, but do you feel like LSU's being slept on a little bit going into this season? Because the chatter still is Alabama, Nick Saban, they steal all the headlines, and I'm certainly not trying to dethrone Lord Nick here on the airways, but like I almost feel like LSU's not getting enough credit for what they did last year. They're not really getting talked about as much. Everybody's just back under the assumption, hey, it's going to be Alabama, Georgia SEC title, Georgia wins it, they go on playoff, whatever. Do you feel like LSU's sort of flying under the radar, if you will? Have we just not gotten, like you mentioned, I know the focus is on baseball, so in a couple of weeks we'll really gear up when we get to SEC Media Days, but I don't know, it just kind of feels like to me LSU is getting slept on a little bit.
Name a quarterback that's won the SEC West and returned the next year that's gotten as much discredit than Jaden Daniels. I mean, name one. Newsflash, you're not going to be able to do it. And I know that, like, that's tough because normally that happens with Alabama. But, Chris, let's call it what it is, okay? Do you trust Tyler Buckner at Alabama? Because I don't. Do you trust Tommy Rees? Because I don't. Who are going to be their weapons on the outside? They're replacing 4 offensive linemen. They have to replace a center that I don't think the guy can play center. They're replacing Will Anderson. They're replacing just as many DBs as LSU. Name me the position group that they're better at LSU right now. Like, name them. Because you're not going to be – I will go toe-to-toe, mano-a-mano. Tell me where they're better. But you're not – you cannot do it. You can't talk O-line. You can't talk running backs. You can't talk wide receivers. This is the part where Alabama is, in my opinion, with all that being said, though, the scariest because you don't know, right? Like, you don't know the dudes. The problem for me is I just don't see Jalen Milroe and Tyler Buckner being the dudes that can lead you against a team that returns everybody. Maybe I'm biased, and I will admittedly come out and say that, look, I could be biased, but you're going to have to make the argument to me that Alabama scares you where? Where? Well, they got dudes. Chris, we do an all-22 film copy study, okay? I produce, like, when I put on the Alabama game, like we were doing this 2 months ago in April, May, okay? Will Anderson got clapped by a true freshman. Dallas Turner got absolutely smoked like a Thanksgiving ham. Okay, I know you eat turkey, but a ham. That man got absolutely raked across the coals. Show me where they're better. That's it. Like, you're going to have to show me where they got better. And if you can do that, I'll digress, but you're not going to be able to. So with that answer alone, yes, I do think they're getting slept on, but let them. I mean, Look, I get it's Nick Saban, and I know that he likes to play VR and swing and play, fight against Mike Tyson when he's at Christmas. But come on, man.
That video was gold, by the way. But
it was golden.
Yes.
And my man hit him with the body shot, right? He went jab, body shot.
Yeah, we posted who is Nick Saban fighting? Wrong answers only. And the answers, as you can imagine, were just somebody said like that his agent trying to send him back to the Miami Dolphins. I mean, retirement, old age. I mean, it's just crazy, man, all over the place. But, speaking of Alabama, and I agree with you, they got questions all over the field, especially at the quarterback position. But let's take a look at the 2023 schedule, Blake, for LSU, because the schedule does matter, right? You hope it's as favorable as you get in the SEC. South Carolina certainly knows a thing or two about that. But you open up, of course, the headliner against Florida State, September the 3rd in Orlando. You've already talked about the importance of that game, and I think it is important just for LSU to get off to a big start in this season and kind of set the tone, if you will. But you look at this schedule, you're at Mississippi State week 3. That's your SEC opener. Your SEC home opener is Arkansas at home. Could be a tricky one at Ole Miss, at Mizzou. Auburn at home, LSU Auburn once again before 2024. There is no LSU Auburn, which is a shame.
So stupid.
Your interview, by the way, with Jason Campbell, and I agreed. I think it's crazy they're not playing.
Yeah,
but
dumb.
The big one, of course, you got Florida out of the East, which is turning into kind of a nice rivalry, if you will, or is kind of a nice rivalry. A&M to close it out in the regular season. But that big one that everybody's going to have circled, November the 4th at Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I mean, hey, this is nothing new for you guys. You do this every other year. So basically every year you play the Crimson Tide. So when you look at this schedule and how it falls, and let's not forget, by the way, I didn't mention them, but Grambling State in week 2. Let me not glance over them, and Georgia State in the second to last week. But the way the schedule shakes out, your overall thoughts of how it sets up for LSU. And again, I know you mentioned the importance of the Florida State game. That's a big one. But that game at Alabama, November the 4th, man, I feel like that's the one everybody's going to have circled, especially after last year when you beat them on the last play of the game.
I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to get roasted for it, but you're going to have – this is another one I'm going to have to tell you you're going to have to prove it. Did you know over the last 20 years, there are only 2 teams in the SEC that have gone on the road, like true road games, not like neutral site or whatever, true road games in the SEC, and won both of them. 2019 LSU did it. Okay, they went to Alabama, then went to Ole Miss. Then Georgia did it this past year. They went back-to-back away games and did it. That Kentucky game and Missouri game were kind of close, weren't they? Well, now you know why. LSU does the same exact thing going to Mizzou. I hate going to Como. It's going to be 11 a.m. You talk about trap games. That is the trap house of trap games, right? Like that is the brothel of trap games. Okay. So I think the last time you guys were there, it didn't go very well, right? No, it did. It was the beginning of the end, right? Like LSU scored 66 points. Not really. They scored a lot and then they couldn't overcome. It got relocated because of a hurricane, COVID. I don't like that. Look, I am a superstitious human being. I am wearing the same hat, the same shirt that we did, that I do it in order. Like I'm a superstitious human being. With all that being said, I do think that the schedule lines up pretty favorable for LSU. Here's why. You just read off the schedule. And in the back half of that, if you can survive outside of Alabama, you're at home every week. You're literally at home the entire half of the back half of all of that outside of going to Bama. Man, if I like that a lot. I really do. The number one thing, and we hadn't talked about them a lot, and I know that we talk a lot of SEC. Again, Florida State's going to be something serious, man. They're going to be something serious. And them up front on both lines of scrimmage and the weapons that they possess on the outside scared the ever-living daylights out of me. And look, LSU has not won a season opener in 3 straight years. You're going to have to find a way to do it. You lost to Mississippi State during COVID. You lost to UCLA. You lost to Florida State. Can you overcome that hurdle? It's the biggest hurdle that you've had. But in reference to overall schedule, it's very favorable for LSU moving forward, especially when the season gets tougher in the back half that you got that many home games. I think, what was it? I think it's 4 of the last 5 are
Yeah,
home
Blake,
games.
I was going to say beginning October the 14th, you got Auburn at home, Army at home, at Alabama. Then you close out with Florida at home, Georgia State at home, Texas A&M at home. So only one road game. October.
Chris, the whole November's at home. Now, right. I'm going to tell you now. You think Jello shots are a big deal? Wait for home games in November, okay?
At night, by the way.
I know things, man. Let me tell you something. Can I tell you a quick story?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Quick story. All right, I gotta be somewhat quiet, bro. I'm gonna tell you the partying. If you want to look, everybody says, "Oh, I want to come to LSU, Alabama." Okay, well, cool. You want to come down to Party Town? Come here in November in Death Valley, bro. Come to the Florida game, see what happens. You will not walk. You will
November 11th. Mark it off.
I promise you this: you will not go home empty-handed. I promise. You will go home with something. I promise.
Drop the mic.
No doubt.
Blake, last thing before I get you out of here, man. Of course, the expectations for LSU this season are very simple. Win the SEC West. I think obviously taking the next step is what LSU fans want, and that is maybe taking down the Georgia Bulldogs and winning the whole damn thing and going to the college football playoff. Let me ask you this: your biggest question mark for LSU, and then what has to click for the Bayou Bengals to, let's say, maximize their potential and have the type of season that LSU fans are hoping for?
Great question. And I'm going to say biggest question mark is defensive depth. I just think, as the season goes on, you can beat Florida State, Arkansas, Florida, whatever. But once you get to Alabama, I mean, it happens for both teams. You get beat up and starters don't play the next week. It literally never happens. Defensive depth. And so to counteract that, you got to stay healthy. You got to have depth pieces. So the biggest concern is, I think, if LSU is 10-2, 11-1, because I do think that they're going to fall one. I don't think that this roster is going to go undefeated. I think they fall one, but you won 10 games a season ago, and you won 10 games. I think that your floor is 10-2. Can you find a way to get over that hump? As you mentioned, Chris, can you find a way to beat Georgia? It's a tall task. I don't know. But if you won 10 games a season ago, look, you don't have Tennessee. I'm not saying this. I told you on our show. You don't have South Carolina. You have Florida. Sunbelt Billy, come back, bro. Oh, you were recruiting well. Okay. We'll see what happens when the season goes on. But, I mean, you get favorable matchups. Missouri and Florida are your two cross-conference teams. So I think the floor is 10-2. But if the depth does not stand out, they're going to struggle. It's going to be a lot of the same you saw last year.
And again, Blake, it gets kicked off in style September the 3rd against Florida State in Orlando, that rematch of that great game last year. Blake Ruffino of AYS Sports. Blake, appreciate you doing this yet again.
I'm wearing this hat all game long,
yes,
man.
Sir. Hey, let everybody know where they can find your work so they can follow along with everything LSU this season.
Yep, AYS Sports, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. If you're on Fubo, we go live. I think it's 9 a.m. It airs at 9 a.m. Every morning, and then 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. So wherever you are on social media, AYS Sports, type it in, you'll be able to find us.
Well done, and best of luck, by the way, the rest of the way in the College World Series, and should be a lot of fun to watch. So, Blake, I appreciate you doing this, man. Let's definitely chat again soon.
No problem. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Okay, so that was Blake Ruffino of AYS Sports, and I'll tell you guys, Blake has me convinced that LSU is winning the SEC West. I tell you, LSU going to be a force for sure, but an electric conversation. And again, I appreciate Blake Ruffino taking the time to chat, and looking forward to seeing what LSU does this season. Guys, that being said, we're going to jump into a quick break. On the other side, though, we're going to dive right into our Q&A Power Hour, and I want to hear from you, your questions, your comments, your calls, and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecocks seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood Subscription Box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
right, guys, we're back here on this Wednesday, June the 21st, 2023. Again, appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. With that being said, our Q&A Power Hour officially begins, where I want to hear from you. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Also, you can text the number, and we'll take your questions in the YouTube chat as well. I want to say thank you, by the way, if there's still any who are in here. Thank you to the LSU fans who tuned in for our conversation with Blake Ruffino of AYS Sports. Again, that was an electric conversation. And I'm not just saying this because he came on the show and what have you. I'm not just saying this because we talked LSU today. But you guys, you may have heard me say this before. Like, the fun hypothetical is if South Carolina, if your favorite team didn't exist, right? If all of a sudden, who would you pull for, right? Just a hypothetical fun conversation. Honestly, I think for me, it would be LSU. I really do. I've just always that just seems like a fun team and a fun school to pull for because LSU football speaks for itself. LSU baseball, elite. Even LSU basketball has their years. You know what I mean? They're great in gymnastics. They're just a great athletics department across the board. And, man, they know how to party and have a good time. I've been down to Baton Rouge, been down to Louisiana. It is a blast, man. So, LSU's cool, man. I am hoping to very soon. I went there in 2020. That's the only unfortunate thing. I got to see Baton Rouge, right? But I didn't really get to see it. You know what I mean? So it was kind of the experience was, whatever. You guys might recall in 2020, I did my prediction video outside of Death Valley, outside of Tiger Stadium, and that was really cool. And again, just getting in the building, getting in the stadium was really neat, but it just didn't, when you got 20,000 people in there, you just don't get the full experience, but it was really cool. So I'm hoping to go back for a bigger game, obviously a packed out, sold out environment, night game in Death Valley, and really get the full experience. But again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Kevin Keegan says, what's good, Gamecock Nation? What's going on, Kevin? Appreciate it. John Edwards says, LSU's better than Alabama across the board. Like I mentioned, Blake has me convinced that LSU's winning the SEC West. Just flat out. Take it to the bank. I'm sure the Alabama guy will have me feeling just the same. So, anyways, guys, we got Arkansas tomorrow, Texas on Friday, and we'll get back to our normally scheduled guests later in the week. Of course, tomorrow we have Mark Ryan, everybody's favorite guest. And then on Friday, we have my good friend Jake Crane. He will jump on the show. Colton Carnell says, the BCC over a year later has been awesome. Not only do you get news that comes out, you have legit in-depth conversations, discussions, if you will, and you can lose hours just laughing at all the slapdickery and memes. I appreciate you, Coleman. Or Colton. I said Coleman. Colton. I appreciate you, Colton. My apologies. Sometimes my mouth moves faster than my brain. Big Jake Cole says, I just want to see Spades with a purple and gold beard. See, here we go. We had an LSU fan in here. I appreciate that. I appreciate the LSU fans that tuned in. GA, what's going on, my guy? Appreciate you jumping in for sure. Braddock said LSU fans travel also. Yeah. I mean, LSU Nation's like Gamecock Nation, bro. They go all over the place. Yeah, LSU Nation, again, they know how to party and they know how to support their team and make their stadium one of the most intimidating atmospheres in all of college football. So, John Edwards says the real Death Valley's in Baton Rouge. I don't think any Gamecock fan would disagree. Let's see. Austin Gregory says, not so bold prediction. Harold Perkins from LSU wins Defensive Player of the Year for the SEC. Yeah, I will say this, Austin, just talking to Blake and reading up, his shifting from the outside to the inside is going to be interesting. But, dude, Harold Perkins, yeah, one of the best defensive players, if not the best defensive player in the SEC. I mean, he is a stud. So I think, to your point, not so bold prediction. I think that's a good one for sure. Bruin Nation says, I miss John Edward. Bruin Nation, did John Edward block you? John Edward, did you block Bruin Nation? Because I see the comments back to back. Bruin Nation, y'all should see each other's comments as long as nobody's been blocked. I don't know. GA says, we love us some gifs and memes in here talking about the Big Cock Club Discord. Indeed. Indeed, we do. Big Game Boomer dropping his top 50 defensive line coaches in college football. Travian Robertson at 47th on the list. Nick Eason from Clemson, number 1. Trey Scott from Georgia, number 2. I think that Travian Robertson will continue to shoot up that list, by the way. I think it's just one of those things where, you know, Travian's been at Tulane. He's been at Georgia State. This is his first really, really big job. So I think that obviously he puts out a good product at South Carolina. You're going to continue to see him shoot up that list. I think Travian Robertson is a rising star in the coaching ranks, if you will. So anyways, guys, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Again, guys, the way the schedule works, we're getting close. Hey, we're getting really, really close, right? We're getting really, really close, right? Because what we've got the rest of this week, tomorrow, of course, we have our SEC team preview talking on the Arkansas Razorbacks. We'll continue. We'll get back into, by the way, our top 5 series, talking defensive backs on tomorrow's show, okay? Then we'll have Mark Ryan in hour number 2, and then, of course, hour 3, our Q&A Power Hour. Friday, we will talk the Texas Longhorns. We will close out our top 5 series talking top 5 kickers in school history. Have our Friday guest, Jake Crane, on in the second hour. Then our third hour, our Q&A Power Hour. Next week, we'll continue all of the SEC team previews with the likes of Oklahoma, Alabama, Ole Miss. Who am I missing? Oklahoma, Alabama, Ole Miss. Who else in the West? Auburn. Those 4. We'll continue through Monday through Thursday and talk about whatever else is coming up, have our normal guests, etc. So we'll go through next week. And then, guys, after that, it's July 4th weekend. So we'll have no Daily Crow on that Monday, Tuesday, the 3rd and the 4th. Go enjoy the holiday. Go enjoy July 4th, what have you. We come back on July the 5th. It's prediction time. We're locking in predictions. Like, that's how close we are to that. And I cannot wait. It's going to be electric. It's going to be a blast. I mean, giving predictions, guys, and projections, in my opinion, it's one of the things that makes college football so great. And, of course, when you're a content creator like myself, I mean, you look forward to that, right? So cannot wait. Just 2 weeks away. So we are 2 weeks to the date. 2 weeks to the date is when I'll drop in my predictions. That's when I'll drop my predictions for the 2023 football season. These will be like my official predictions. I gave way too early predictions in January. These will be my locked-in picks for the season. So really excited for it. Looking forward to it, man. And that'll really kick us off in our preseason content, because what we'll do is we'll get that Wednesday and Thursday. It'll be part 1, part 2, because we'll also talk a bunch of other things like ceiling, floor, most important game, biggest 3-game stretch, if you will. We'll have a lot to discuss. Then on Friday, I'll lock in my picks for the entire SEC, game-by-game picks for the entire SEC. Then that following week, we'll start our offense preview. We'll do defense preview. We'll do special teams preview. Then after that, we get back into the opponent preview series where, again, as we just had Blake on, we'll have conversations with UNC, Furman, Georgia, Mississippi State, Tennessee, Florida, on down the line of teams on the Gamecocks schedule. So going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm looking forward to it. Again, we'll be off and running. SEC Media Days is just around the corner. Cannot wait. Spur Daddy says, them rowdy Cajuns being down in the real Death Valley, enter at your own risk when you're a fan of the opposite team playing LSU. See, I didn't, Spur Daddy. I did not get the worst of it. People told me, they said, Chris, when you go in there, they're going to say, Tiger bait, Tiger bait. I didn't hear that once. Now, you know what's funny, though? I was about to say maybe one of the reasons they knew they were going to beat us, but that was a game. I picked South Carolina to win that game. You might recall that 2020 season. I think Carolina had just beaten Auburn or something like that. And then that was the beginning of the 3-game stretch in which Muschamp's defense gave up I don't even know, dude, 150 points or something like that over a 3-game stretch. John Edward did block Bruin Nation. God, John Edward. John Edward blocked Bruin Nation. Gamecock on Gamecock crime. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. Again, guys, we're taking your questions, comments, calls as well. 843-790-3377. Again, I want to say thank you so much to Blake Ruffino of AYS Sports for taking the time to chat. Brad Crawford asked this on the timeline: which game equals peak SEC football to you? He says it's close for me between LSU Bama 2011 and Florida Bama 2009. Peak SEC football. I don't know if I can really pick one. How about this, guys? Apparently, we had some basketball news yesterday, by the way. It's funny how basketball news just totally flies under the radar. I mean, and it's not, I don't know, like South Carolina that will open the 2023-2024 college basketball season against USC Upstate on Monday, November the 6th at Colonial Life Arena in Columbia. So, there you go. Carolina, USC Upstate to begin the 2023-2024 season. And I'm really excited. I'm honestly really, really excited to see what this basketball team's all about, right? What this team's all about, man. Monday, November the 6th. So what? That'll be a couple of days after, I think, the Jacksonville State game, if I do recall. The Jacksonville State game, I believe. Let's see. What game is that weekend? Yeah, Jacksonville State's the 4th. Okay, yeah. So that Monday will be the first basketball game. I'm sure there'll be an exhibition before that. I'd have to imagine. So. I think Carolina Clemson, if I recall correctly, aren't they? They're going back, I think, to a mid-December tip-off, which is such a great idea. Honestly, it's such a great idea. The fact that Carolina Clemson last year was the Friday before the Florida game, it's like, dude, I don't know. I think it takes away some of the excitement when it's like in football season. Like, let it be its own thing. That's all I'm saying. Let it be its own thing. I don't know. Let's see. Bruin Nation says, Chris, I don't know if I can participate any longer in the show if John Edward won't be my friend and let me see his takes. I apologize to him, and he ignored me and blocked me, so I might just have to watch. I might just have to watch from a distance. Spur Daddy, when are the welcome homes going to come flooding in? I know they're coming. I mean, I'd say within the next week. I mean, Spur Daddy, this is a huge, huge, huge weekend for recruiting. A huge weekend for recruiting. So I would imagine very soon, Spur Daddy, I would imagine very, very soon that you will start to see those come in, if you will. But, yeah, I mean, this is one where we're hearing a lot of good things about this weekend, too, about a couple of guys could commit on the spot. Will we know who they are when they commit? Because Shane Beamer obviously tweets out the welcome home when he gets the green light from the prospects, not when they're announcing. So he can say welcome home, and the announcement may not come for 3-4 months. So you just never know. You just never, ever know. Let's see. How about this? Virginia, Florida are playing November the 10th in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Spectrum Center. That's a cool game. That's a very cool game. Let's see. There was something. I know John Rothstein had said something about the Arizona tip-off. I think the Gamecocks are going to be in that. Draft day upcoming for G.G. Jackson. Tomorrow, the NBA draft. Where will he be picked? Okay, yes. November the 17th And November the 19th, the Gamecocks will play in the inaugural Arizona tip-off. So, again, that will be during the football season. Gamecocks will play Friday. That's the day before Carolina takes on Kentucky. And then Sunday, the day after. Who remembers last year? I got like a memory or something came up. But who remembers last year when Carolina was playing in that tournament in Charleston, right? And I forget if they played. I'd imagine, let's see, I'm curious now. I think they played the Saturday of the Tennessee game, if I do recall correctly. I'm almost positive they did. Let's see. No, they played Friday and Sunday. That's what it was. They lost to David. They lost Thursday. They lost Friday. And they were in the losers bracket. And do y'all remember this? So Carolina beats Tennessee. We're going crazy. It's a night game. Get back super late. Carolina turns around and plays Furman that Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. You talk about, it's just like, bro, what is up with this turnaround? Like, what is going on? So it was crazy, man. It's crazy, kind of like how, it's funny because, like, dude, I'll never forget last year. Last year, I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, let's do a countdown to basketball. You know how we do countdown to football or whatever from 100 days. I started a countdown to basketball from 31 days. And guys, I literally had people commenting on the tweets being like, Chris, what are you doing? It's football season. Stop it. It's football season. I'm like, bro, like what? People don't even want to count down to basketball. Like I stopped it at like 28 or like 24 days. Because I'm like, do people even like Carolina basketball? I don't know. I don't know. Y'all tell me, do you think a countdown for basketball season's is it a bad move? I mean, I thought it was a good move. I don't know. I thought it was fun, but I guess not. Let's see. Yeah, 31 days, October the 2nd, 2022. I don't know. I may just bring the countdown back, honestly, just to do it. I like doing the countdowns. I think it's fun. I don't know. Wes Bowles, any word on Jordan Birch transferring back to Carolina? Or was that BS? Wes, listen, was it BS that Jordan Birch isn't as happy as he thought he'd be at Oregon and expressed interest in coming back? I don't think so. I mean, coming straight from J.C. Sherbert, that's a real thing. Is it actually going to happen? I mean, I don't think so. I doubt it, honestly. I doubt it's going to happen. There's just a lot of hoops he'd have to jump through. But I guess we've seen crazier things, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't, let me just put it to you this way, Wes. I'm not banking on it happening. We'll put it that way. I'm not. Nope. I'm not banking on it happening. So if it does, we'll all be surprised and what have you. But yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'll be honest with you. It would surprise me with the culture. This was a conversation we had months ago, obviously, but I asked you guys how you all felt about it. And, there were some mixed feelings. But I'll say this. It would surprise me. It would surprise me if they let him back, if they brought him back. I just think when you think about the culture that Shane Beamer has built, does that fit the culture? You know what I mean? Like, does that fit the culture? I don't think it does, man. And you know what? If they're able to have like a team meeting and a come to Jesus talk with everybody and all the teammates say, you know what? it's, or we don't exactly know what happened behind closed doors, but I think with, again, what Beamer's building, I think, what he says, you know what? This wasn't one of my recruits anyways. I'll take a chance on our guys that we've brought in and give them an opportunity versus awarding someone back on our football team that abandoned us. Like, I'd be surprised if he did it. I don't think that's Beamer. I don't think that's his culture. Yeah. So Austin Nick says, I'm honestly only here for the football content. Austin, thank you for just being honest. I don't mind that. Thank you for being honest. And I don't care if you're not here for the basketball content. I just found it funny that I literally was posting. I don't remember which one it happened on specifically, but I posted a countdown video, and somebody commented like, bro, what are you doing? It's football season. And I'm just like, man, dude, I don't want to believe that South Carolina fans don't care about men's basketball. Sometimes, though, sometimes I question it. I really do. I know football's king. I understand that. I know football's king. But, I just sometimes wonder, do Gamecock fans really, really care about basketball? I think they do. We've seen CLA packed out. I think Gamecock fans also obviously just love a winner more than anything, right? That's why you see women's basketball is sold out, right? You put a winner on the floor, on the field, whatever it is, Gamecock fans will show up. Hey, if softball was like Oklahoma, Gamecock fans, we'd be packing out softball games, right? So, I don't want to say Gamecock fans don't care about men's basketball, but it is interesting. It's interesting, right? Because for a guy like Mark Ryan, for example, and I know however you feel about him, whatever, it's just an interesting case study because every school in the SEC football is king. I was thinking to myself, can you say that about Kentucky fairly? I think basketball is probably king for them. Would you not say? I think basketball is king. Vanderbilt, they don't know what they like, honestly. But football is king. But a school like Florida, they love basketball. Heck, Arkansas, they're winning, but they love basketball. Even Alabama's taken on to basketball of late. Granted, again, I think it's more because of the results, but I don't know. You can't force people to like something. You know what I mean? You can't force people to like something. So I think the only way that you're going to start packing out CLA again. Guys, people weren't packing out CLA last year to go see G.G. Jackson play. And I get it because the results were bad, but that just goes to show you, doesn't matter what star power you have. If you don't put a good product on the floor, basketball is not like football where people are going to come out in droves to watch you no matter what. There's a lot more games. It's a lot less high demand, and you're going to feel the effects of that if you're not winning, just flat out. Spur Daddy said when Carolina went on that Final Four run, they showed up. I think that spoiled us all. We thought the men's team was going to stay at that level, then they went off of the cliff. How about Ranger Ryan tuning in from Spain today? My man. Dude, I want to go to Spain, dude. That's incredible, dude. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Ranger Ryan, thank you. That's incredible. How about it? Let's see. How about this? More basketball news. South Carolina will play Virginia Tech November the 10th in Charlotte. Mike Young and Lamont Paris overlap for 2 years in the SoCon with Young at Wofford and Paris at UTC. First meeting between the Gamecocks and Hokies since 1997. The Beamer Bowl on the basketball court. How about that? How about it? November the 10th in Charlotte. That'll be a fun one. That'll actually be a really fun game. That'll be a really, really fun game. Okay. Basketball news is, who knew? We're talking basketball today in the middle of summer. Who had that on their bingo card? We're going to talk basketball today. I don't think anybody would have. I don't think anybody would have come into the show expecting to talk a lot of basketball today. I don't know. That's incredible, man. Gamecocks and Hokies in the QC. That'd be a fun road trip, man. Charlotte ain't even that far. November the 10th. That is the day before the Gamecocks take on Vanderbilt at Williams-Brice Stadium. There you go. Yeah. Could be a really fun weekend, especially for the Charlotte Gamecocks. You start out Friday, then you come down Saturday. Get out of there on Sunday or Saturday night, whatever. So that'll be awesome. LLC, let Lamont cook. Indeed. I see, by the way, the slap dickery between Bruin Nation and John Edward just going back and forth. I'm letting y'all have it. I'm letting y'all have it in the chat. Okay. Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and jump into another break. On the side, I want to continue to hear from you. More of your questions, comments, calls, more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecock seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? Look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood subscription box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Wednesday, June the 21st, 2023. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. We are taking your questions, your comments, your calls as well. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. 2 o'clock, Florida TCU. We'll do battle in Omaha. Florida 1 win away from going to the finals. LSU and Wake Forest tonight. And I'm honestly hoping, I'm openly pulling for LSU to win because I want to see Paul Skeens get the baseball again tomorrow. That would be electric. I mean, electric to see Paul Skeens back on the mound for LSU. And it feels right. Like, it feels like that series is supposed to go to, like, because I feel like, honestly, LSU and Wake Forest are the two best teams. I picked Florida to win it all. I liked their path. I liked their path to the final, and I like their pitching depth more than anything. I mean, it's a luxury, guys, that you can go Sproat, Waldrop, and then you got Caglione on the mound today. And I mean, I think they're in a really good position to punch their ticket to the final. But yeah, man. Yeah, I'm excited to watch LSU Wake Forest for sure. Let's see. I love how, like, the YouTube chat today looks like Twitter. Bruin Nation, let me ask you this, by the way. Isn't it funny how, like, there will be times, and I did not say I liked Florida to get to the final, Brendan. I'm surprised that Brendan's not saying I'm an LSU fan after today. I mean, we just had LSU chatter on the show. We got Arkansas tomorrow. We got Texas Friday. Huh? A little bit of everybody. I just pull for everybody, Brendan. Slapdicks can't make up their mind to which team I'm a fan of. One day I'm a Clemson fan, next day I'm a Florida fan, next day I'm a LSU, next day Carolina. Like, what team does old Slapdick C Philly pull for, right? Anyways, it's funny though. It's what I was going to say, Bruin Nation, because Bruin Nation's in the thick of it on Twitter. It's kind of funny when Twitter kind of quiets down for a couple of days. Like, it's not peak slapdickery as normal. It almost, like, kind of gets you even more on edge. You're like, what is going on? Why is it so quiet? You're like, it's quiet, almost too quiet. You know what I mean? Like what happened? You know what I mean? Like, what is happening? So, honestly, when my mentions aren't flooded with nonsense every other tweet, when I go a couple of days without it, I'm like, damn, well, what happened? What happened? You know what I mean? So, anyways, I don't know, man. Again, guys, in case you missed it, it's basketball news on this hump day. South Carolina in the Queen City on November the 10th. Guys, let me ask you this. AYS, what's up, baby? What's up, Blake? We'll be watching that game tonight, LSU Wake Forest. I was just mentioning, Blake, I don't know if you heard me say it. We need Paul Skeens on the bump tomorrow. We need to get to tomorrow's game so we can watch Paul Skeens. Bruin Nation, by the way, I did see the bad barbecue takes, or like today is like barbecue takes day for whatever reason. Let me say this. This will be unpopular. I'm not all that picky when it comes to barbecue. I like mustard bait. Like, I'll take it this too, Bruin Nation. I haven't had enough barbecue. Like, I have not sat down and sampled all the barbecue, right? So I'm very familiar with mustard-based barbecue. I've had some vinegar-based. I haven't had much more than that, to be honest with you. I don't know. So I cannot speak on it. I'll tell you this, though. If you think sports Twitter is savage, food Twitter is another world, dude. Like, I one time, like, had a steak night or something, and I posted the steak on Twitter. And, dude, I'll never do that again. I mean, you got steak hardos coming out of the woodworks. Like, you didn't do this to it. Look at it, this. What? I'm like, bro, like, holy smokes, dude. So yeah, AYS, my guy's in here. He says we all as sports fans need to see Skeens versus Louder, mustache versus mullet. Only one man can win. Only one man, Blake, can wear the big cock club hat. It's got to be Paul Skeens. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. That's the matchup we need to see. But yeah, I have seen some of the barbecue takes. Let me ask you this, Brewer Nation, you seem pretty passionate about it. What's the worst barbecue take that you've seen on the timeline? Like, tell me what a bad barbecue take is. Because I know, like, people in the South, like, it's crazy how you go state by state and the barbecue's different. AYS, Blake, is the barbecue, Louisiana's got their own barbecue, right? I'll tell you this, by the way. And I've been to Baton Rouge, went to New Orleans. My sister used to live in Baton Rouge. That is a place. You go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, bro, it's like you're entering a different country. Like, you go to New Orleans, you talk about having their own culture. It is truly, it's an incredible experience. I mean, it's awesome. I think it's awesome. I really do think it's awesome. But it's an incredible, I mean, dude, it's, I felt like I wasn't in America anymore. Like, I was like, this is just completely different than anywhere I've been. In a good way. It was awesome, dude. It was incredible. Had a blast. Enjoyed it. And I cannot wait to, you guys know, like, I love seeing stadiums. I love seeing the campuses. I love, like, the things, like, I'll tell you this. The Gamecocks got me into college football, right? It's, and we were actually talking about this the other night in the Discord. We were hanging out in the Discord. When it comes to loving, like, college football, because I think for most people, like, the love of the sport of college football, that doesn't come first necessarily. Like, you love your team first, and then you grow to appreciate the rest of college football. Hey, some people, guys, they're such diehards, and I respect it. I'm not knocking anybody. Some people, like, they are wired in the sense of they love their team, screw everybody else. They just love their team, and that's totally fine. I have no problem with that. That's totally fine. I am someone that I'm not wired that way. Obviously, I'm a Gamecock, guys. I'm a Gamecock through and through. I claim it. I will forever claim it. I'm a Gamecock. Born and raised, but despite what you may hear, born and raised Gamecock. My first ever college football game was 2003, South Carolina Vanderbilt, Dondrell Pinkins against Jay Cutler. My second college football game was 2005, Carolina versus UCF, Steve Spurrier's first game. My third college football game, 2006, Carolina, Georgia at Williams-Brice Stadium, right? So, like, I'm a South Carolina fan through and through, okay? Always have been, and I always will be a Gamecock. But I will say the thing very early on, a lot of my buddies in high school, they pulled for different teams. There were some Gamecocks, but there were some Clemson fans. There were some Georgia fans. There was a Texas fan, I remember. And, like, we all just, like, we would all get together and conversate, and we loved college football. We'd play NCAA football, in writer's block. This is like in middle school, middle school, about to go to high school, if you will. We'd have, like, our writer's block where you write in your composition notebook. Bro, we'd sit there and write about college football. We'd write about the games. I remember writing about 2004 Clemson, NC State. Like, I remember I would do the Carolina game. I'd do the Clemson game. I'd do the Georgia game, like the North Carolina game, whatever, and write like a little excerpt, right? And voila, there you go. So I feel like early on, I really grew to enjoy and appreciate college football as a whole. You know what I mean? And especially since I've been doing this and I've been able to collaborate with people like my guy Blake, for example, AYS Sports, which again, Colton Carnell makes the point. He's in here boosting the show. That's a true homie. Indeed. Indeed. I'll probably tune into Blake's post-game show tonight. I know he's going to have one. I'll probably tune in the post-game show tonight just for that, man. Anyways, I just collabing with different people. And I just now, like, I love the Gamecocks for sure. But, like, I can appreciate tradition, pageantry, stadiums, campuses, like everything that makes college athletics and college football, of course, unique. It's really cool, man. It's really cool. I enjoy it. I love it. I love talking ball. And again, guys, it's like I told you. And again, it's no secret, man. It's no secret. I've talked about, my future, and I'm not going to do the Spurs Up show forever. And like expansion's going to happen for me personally. It's going to happen. The brand, we're going to go from the Spurs Up show and all just Gamecock content to talking the entire SEC. I've mentioned that before to you guys. That's going to happen at some point. I'm not telling you it's happening tomorrow or next month or whatever. Not trying to scare you or anything, but it's going to happen. I'd say within the next 2 to 3 years, I think it will absolutely 110% take place where we will expand. We'll take this and we'll go from just South Carolina focus to the entire SEC focus. I 110% feel like that is the path for me at some point. And so, again, I realized when I went to Tennessee last year, and I know that, we hate Tennessee, the Dalton the Vol hater and Brendan hate Tennessee. Like when I went to Knoxville last year for the baseball series and hung out with those guys, and my buddies were Gamecock fans, but their buddies were Tennessee fans. We all hung out together. We're talking sports, watching games. I just realized, like, bro, we're all the same. Every fan base, for the most part, they have their things that make them unique. But fans, like, we're all the same. We're all the same. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part. So whether people want to admit it or not, So, which is a cool thing, and it's a fun thing, and it's like, so doing these SEC team previews, like it's great to hear about the different teams and learn more about them, and I'm excited. I'm excited for that for the future to eventually start talking more other SEC teams and grow the audience and grow the brand, and I mean that's obviously a big part of it too, is just expansion, if you will. But yeah, man, yeah, it's awesome. So, but I love it, man. I love college football, love college athletics. It's incredible, man. So Brewer Nation, to your point, he says, I'd love to go to every SEC stadium for at least one game. Same here. I mean, it's really tough, obviously, Brewer Nation for me right now, because what am I going to do, right? Like, Carolina's playing. I'm like, oh, I'm just at the LSU game. No big deal. People are going to be like, what in the world? So I will say this, though. When we transition to just South Carolina to the entire SEC, that will be something I probably do in the first season. I will make it a point to say, hey, each week we're going to pick a game, and we're going to the game, and we're going to go to every stadium. That's the goal, at least. Get to every stadium once. Or at least the ones I haven't been to. So, let's see. Will Hall says, what away stadiums you seen Carolina? Stadiums. I've been to Sanford and Athens, been to LSU. And these are for games, right? Because I stopped by the Swamp, right? I stopped by Cincinnati, but I don't count those. So again, Carolina, Georgia, Clemson, LSU. And I think that's it. See, I have not been to a lot. I haven't, for actual games, I have not been to a lot. I've drove by Mizzou Stadium, again, stopped by the Swamp, stopped by Cincinnati, but like those weren't games. So I've been to Charlotte a couple of times for the season opener against NC State, for the last 2 bowl games there, right? I mean, I've been to the Tampa Bay Bucks Stadium, wasn't for a game, but I went to their stadium, toured it. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of stadiums that I have not seen. Yeah, Chase, you're banned from Willie B. Yeah, Chase, I'm banned from Willie B, from Founders, from CLA. I'm banned from Palmetto Pig. I'm banned from Tin Roof. I'm banned from really the entire city of Columbia. Heck, the state of South Carolina at this point. I'm actually wanted in South Carolina. They've got the watch on me in the state. I'm just kind of hiding right now, hiding out. Let's see. Will Hall's actual games have been at Ole Miss and Arkansas, oddly enough, and the Belk Bowl against Virginia. Yeah, I went to that Belk. Dude, I was at that Belk Bowl. Brutal. Ole Miss and Arkansas would be cool. Those would be really, really cool ones. Some SEC West flavor. Ruben Nation, banned from Walt Disney World. Everywhere. Ruben Nation. Everywhere, yeah. Tough life, Ruination. It's a tough life. Let's see. Kevin O'Sullivan wearing a shirt that says, "Yes, I can count to 6." Love that because of the pitching coach thing. Or not the pitching coach, the mound visits thing. You know what's something I've never been able to get into, and I know John Edward will disagree, or at least he's into it. But I'm just not a NASCAR guy, dude. Like I have no interest whatsoever. Like I'm not like there's not even like I'd sit down and watch a hockey game. I'm not a hockey guy, right? Like I'd even sit down and watch an NBA game. Not an NBA guy. Like NASCAR though, I've been to a couple of races. I've been to Darlington a couple of times. I went to Darlington like 3 years in a row at one point, but I'm not a NASCAR guy. I don't know. Some people love NASCAR. They love NASCAR. Not a NASCAR guy. Not a NASCAR guy. He says must be banned from Universals. Well, you haven't been in a while. Oh, Jesus. I do. We went like a couple months ago. Jesus. Kara wins. Travis says, I've been to Georgia, Ole Miss, A&M, UNC. Oh, I have been to the Gator Bowl, of course. Yeah, so I've been to Jacksonville Stadium. Been to Charlotte a couple times, countless South Carolina home games. Dude, I bet A&M was incredible. I got to imagine A&M, Travi, was awesome. Breaking news. Rebecca's got a new man. His name is Will, and he's also a Georgia Bulldogs fan. How about that? How about that? Ruben Nation says, Dale ain't going to be happy. Old Smokey and a Georgia fan can't get along. Indeed. Travis says, buddies and I used to do Athens as an every other year tradition. 07, 9, 11, 13, 15 in Georgia. Got 15, my guy. Woof. I feel for you, Travi. 15 was rough, dude. What was that, like 52-7 or something like that? Something crazy? John Edwards says, Chris, NASCAR is not for everyone. And I'm not even hating on it. It's just not my thing. I'm not even remotely a NASCAR guy. Not even remotely. Not even remotely. Again, guys, a huge, huge recruiting weekend upcoming. I'm sure we're going to have a lot to discuss over the weekend. Tons to discuss, I'd imagine, over the weekend with all the prospects on campus. Should see. I'd imagine you'll see more than a couple welcome homes rolling through. I'd have to imagine. I'd have to imagine. Travi, yeah, that was a rough one in 15. Lorenzo Nunez got the start. By the way, guys, I know Arkansas is tomorrow. If y'all want to hear a crazy stat, though, get this. Arkansas is tomorrow. Arkansas set a school record last year for sacks, right? They had 42 sacks in the season. School record. They also gave up 295 yards per game. Worst in FBS. Like, that math just does not, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you set a school record? But you, like, oh, that math ain't mathing to me. But that was the case. They were not good on defense last season. You'll hear more about that tomorrow. Guys, we're going to jump into one final break. On the other side, we'll close out the show in style here on a Wednesday. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecocks seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? Look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood subscription box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond, from succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between. Their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood subscription box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood subscription box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Wednesday. Final 15 minutes or so here in the show. Taking your questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. 7. Rebecca says that my boyfriend is going to join the chat. Rebecca, whoa. Rebecca's man's going to join the chat, she says. Wow. Wouldn't that be something? What a time. What a time. Middle of the summer type of shenanigans right here. Middle of the summer. Again, guys, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Wow, Barstool Nashville grand opening this weekend. How about that? Barstool doing it big in Nashville. Chris Marler just tweeted, some of y'all think these millionaires are dumb for paying all this money to go see the Titanic. But let's not forget that Texas A&M is currently paying Jimbo Fisher $93 million to go 5-7. When you really think about it, which one is worse? How about that story, by the way? How about that freaking story, man? Those people trapped down there at the bottom of the ocean. Like, what in the world, man? Brennan says, where are the calls, Chris? Brennan, I don't know. I don't know where the calls are, man. Where's Robbie Davis? Heck, I don't know. Rebecca says, can I call in? Rebecca, I don't think I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't be able to call in. I don't think you're blocked in any way or anything. Anyways, that story though with the submarine is just wild, dude. That story with the submarine is wild. They paid like $250,000 a person to go down there and see the Titanic. And they're bolted in from the outside. The only way they can get out, somebody lets them out. I have questions. Like, I just have questions that maybe aren't appropriate to ask at this time, but like what? I don't know. Travi says, we play OU next year. All you guys should make your way out here. Travi, I'd love to. I would absolutely love to, my friend. I'd love nothing more, Travi. Yep. I cannot wait to see Austin, Norman. Yeah, all these places. I can't wait. That's going to be a blast, man. Absolute blast. Let's see. I don't think Rebecca's blocked, my guy. I really don't. Oh, I know what I was thinking of earlier. Let me ask you this. And I think that if South Carolina was in the College World Series, the answer to this might change. But like when you think about ranking the best sports months of the year, where would you put June? Like, is it at the bottom? Is July at the bottom? I mean, June is slow, man. Like, y'all know right now, it's not even an excuse, but it is slow. You know it is. It's slow. There's not a whole lot going on outside of recruiting. And if you're not getting commitments, I mean, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, what's there to chat about? And let me ask you this though: what is the best sports month of the year? In your opinion, what's the best sports month of the year? For me personally, I would probably say you know, April's a great sports month just because of you got college baseball in full swing, the Masters, MLB opening day. You got to go to football season, like October. Right? Like there's nothing like waking up on a crisp October morning and college game days on. And like there's just nothing like that, truly. NFL's rolling at that point as well. You got October baseball, right? So actually, probably October. October's probably the best sports month of the year. I'd have to say. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Robbie Davis, Zaxby's Hall of Famer.
to accept, press 1.
Robbie, what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing good. I had to get the pizza at the front door and then darted back up the stairs to try and call real quick.
Had to get the pizza
How
at
are
the
you
front
doing?
door. I love it. I'm doing well, my friend. What'd you get on your pizza?
Well, my nephew got regular cheese pizza and my mom got a meat lovers for me. So,
Nice.
so
Love that.
I'll probably put some crushed red peppers and a little bit of hot sauce on my pizza.
Love it.
But you were talking about, stadiums that you've been to, right? So I've only really, as far as multiple times, I've only been to Willie B a majority of the time.
Mhm.
And I went to the, as I call it, the fake Death Valley. Okay. To me, the real Death Valley is in Baton Rouge. Last year, whenever I went to the bowl game, that was the first time I've ever been to a NFL stadium, so that was pretty cool. And so also on my bucket list, I want to go to a Steelers game in Pittsburgh, so that's on the bucket list.
Steelers are your NFL team, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have family from Pittsburgh, in Pittsburgh, anything like that?
No.
Okay.
I'm just a Pittsburgh.
A lot of
Steelers fan.
people that pull for the Steelers, it seems like somehow, some way, they got family from or in Pittsburgh. I don't know what it is. Everybody's from Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Nope, I'm a homegrown South Carolinian.
Okay.
But I've missed over half the show because I've been, kind of babysitting my nephew. So that's why I haven't been in the live chat all day. I'm making sure he doesn't do anything stupid. But those are the 3 stadiums I've been to. I'll probably never, ever go back to the fake Death Valley ever again in my life. I mean, that's my plan. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I will not do that ever again, especially because I went against my will the first time I went. I was forced to go. And so that year I missed the game against Missouri. So I was pissed the whole way home. I was not happy. But I also wanted to tell you, I think I told you this already, but I want to make sure. I talked to my bosses. So if you go by Robo, you are, and tell them that you know me, you should be able to get some free food.
Free food at the Zaxby's.
Yep. Just let me know what day going, and then I'll try my darndest to get a hold of my bosses.
Okay, fair enough.
And you'll get free food. Being a Hall of Famer has its perks.
Indeed, it does, man. The Hall of Famer has spoken.
So, but by the way, there is baseball games on today, right? For the College World Series.
Yeah,
right?
Florida TCU at 2:00, LSU Wake Forest at 7.
I still can't believe Wake Forest won the other night. That was
It's a heck of a game, man. Wake's
insane.
for real. Wake's for real. They're really, really good. So,
yeah, for sure.
yeah. I mean, LSU. That'll be a great one tonight. That'll be sure. So I'm excited to see it, man.
playing great baseball all year, so it wouldn't surprise me either. Before it gets cold.
Sounds good, Robbie. Enjoy the pizza, enjoy the za, and we'll talk to you later this week.
For sure, for sure. All right, man.
Have a great rest of your day, Robbie. I appreciate you.
You too, man.
Yeah, man.
I'll
Take
try
care.
and not do anything too stupid.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. Take care. Great stuff from Robbie Davis. As always, appreciate Robbie calling in, and I'm just waiting on this to pop up on the screen. Yep, there it is. Dale with a super chat says, "Hey, hang up." Really wanted to make his point with the $2 donation on that. Oh man, Robbie Davis getting some midday za. We love it. We love it. Love to see it. Love to see it. Here we go. Okay. Before we close out, 3 minutes to go. At the buzzer.
Call from
Rebecca.
Rebecca, what's going on? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm
Good.
doing fantastic. I appreciate you asking. What's going on?
Well, I do have a new boyfriend. His name is Will. He's from Athens, Georgia, to be honest. And he is 39. And me and him are supposed to go to Louisiana this weekend together.
Okay, nice little getaway. Where in Louisiana?
I think it's called Bar, and then it's got the word stop or something on the, I don't know.
Okay, I would not be
I
familiar with
can't.
it. Okay.
I don't know for sure where it's at for sure. I mean, I've been told. I don't know how many times. Look it up real quick. I can't find it right now, but it's somewhere in Louisiana is all I know. So I'm getting the hell out of Tennessee.
You're not moving from
like-
Tennessee, are you? You're just going on a little trip, right?
Yeah, I'm just going for a little trip.
Okay.
That's all.
I got you. Okay. Makes sense. Sometimes it's good to get away. For sure.
Definitely. Well, I'm glad I'm getting out of here
I hear
for
you.
a day or two.
Yeah, that's awesome.
About time that I could get a vacation somewhere. But I'm looking forward to it. And let me see. I think that he is a Georgia Bulldogs fan, which I ain't got nothing against Georgia Bulldog fans, okay? I mean, I love him the way that I do. And it doesn't matter what.
Right.
As long as he's not a Tennessee Vols fan.
Long as he's not a
a
Tennessee fan. That's where old Dale messed up, I think.
Right. Dale did some poor choices on his end too.
See, now we get to hear your side of the story.
Dale did meth, weed, and alcohol and cigarettes. There's no line to it either.
Time to come clean, Dale.
He won't do it. I know he won't. So
Well, Rebecca, I hope you guys have a great time in Louisiana. That'll be a blast, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd call in for a few minutes. I know everybody ain't heard from me in a
Yeah, well,
long time.
we're glad you're doing well, Rebecca. We're glad you're doing well.
Yeah, and today's my grandfather's birthday. He's 84.
Oh, well, happy birthday to grandfather.
Yeah,
To your grandfather.
I'll let him. Yeah, I'm gonna let him know that y'all said happy birthday.
We
to
do
him.
indeed. We do indeed. Happy birthday.
All right. Well, I'll let y'all go.
Rebecca, appreciate you. Take care of yourself. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye. Folks, what a way to end the day. Unbelievable. And Dale, you're in the comments right now. Dale, get clean, man. You're on meth. You're on weed. You're on cigarettes. Clean it up, Dale. Clean it up. Guys, that being said, we're going to get out of here. Appreciate you all tuning in. Again, thank you to Blake Ruffino of AYS Sports for helping us break down the LSU Tigers and all those that engage throughout the show. Thank you all so much. Hey, be sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you get the notifications when we go live on YouTube. And also, of course, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. We drop the podcast every single day, 5 p.m. Eastern. Be sure you check that out. Guys, until next time, appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll talk to you all tomorrow.